Hi, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to make this gorgeous sweatered cable dress. I'll work through the steps with you and how to make the beautiful cable, the front and back panel, and the sleeves, as well as the turtleneck. The yarn I'm using is wool of the Andes Tweed Worsted weight, and the color that I'm working with is Wreath Heather. I'll also be working with my Furls crochet hook, and I'm using a 5mm, and this is a Streamline Swirl Cookies and Cream hook. So all of our pieces begin with this ribbed band. I'm showing you how to work the small size dress, and so I'm just going to get you started on how to work up the band. For our front and back panels, we'll be working 66 rows in total, and for our sleeves, we're working 22 rows. So let's get started. So we'll make a slip knot, put that on your hook, and we'll be chaining out 11. Now we'll work a single crochet in the second chain from the hook and in every chain across. So we'll have a total of 10 single crochets, and that is the width of this band. So 10 stitches, and that is the same for the front panel, the back panel, and the sleeve cuffs. They're all worked from the bottom up. Then we'll chain 1 and turn. So the entire band is worked in the back loops only. So we're working 1 single crochet in the back loop. So we're going to go down through the center of the stitch, pushing through and going through the back loop only, completing our single crochet, working single crochets in the back loop only all the way across. Make sure as you go that you're counting that you stay with 10 stitches. So I've worked 2 rows, and what I want you to do is work up a total of 66 for your front and back panel and 22 rows for each of your sleeves. And again, this is for the small size. So I've worked up 22 rows, and I'm going to do my demonstration for you on this smaller swatch. So once you have your desired number of rows, so it doesn't matter if it's 66 or 22, you're going to do the same for each. You'll chain 1, and then you're going to work along this edge of the ribbing. We're going to work a single crochet in each row. So I always take a look kind of to gauge my rows. So this row here, it only has sort of that one loop of yarn, so I'm going to go through there, and that's 1. My next row, it's a little bit thicker area here that needs worked through. There's 2, and then you should come again to that more open gapping hole, and there's 3, and I'm just going to work that all the way across so that I have 22, and if you're working across your front or back panels, you'll have 66. So I've worked across, and now my last stitch here, 22. Now what we're going to do is chain 1 and turn. We're going to begin working now our base pattern, which is extended single crochet stitches, and that's worked throughout except for the cabling. So to do an extended single crochet, you go through the stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1 loop on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2. So you go through the stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. So you work extended single crochets all the way across, and this is the same whether you're working on the front, back, or the sleeves. So what I'd like you to do is 2 rows of extended single crochet at 22 stitches. Now if you're working on your back panel, it's extended single crochets. The entire length of the back is all extended single crochets. So there's 1 row. I've worked it all in extended, and I'm going to do 1 more before I show you the cabling for the front panel. So I'm going to go ahead and go across this row again, chain 1, and go across all in extended single crochet. So when you're working your back panel, you should work about 91 rows. But the idea is that we want about 30 inches of length, including your band. So you want to work until you have 30 inches. Shorter if you want a shorter dress, longer if you want a longer dress. But the one I'm working on is about 30 inches, and that ends up being about 91 rows of extended single crochet. So now if you're working on your front panel, you're going to have 66 stitches. I'm just showing you on a smaller swatch here, but if you have 66 stitches, you're going to work 27 stitches, then a 12 stitch cable, and then 27 stitches. That makes up your 66 stitches in total. Now I just have my 22, so I'm going to show you by doing 5 and my 12 and 5. So what we're going to do is work over in extended single crochets. So you'll have 27, 1, 2, okay, so there's 5 for me. You'll have 27. Then what you're going to do is find the post of the next stitch, and we're going to go around it just doing front post double crochet. So yarn over, you're putting your hook under the post, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Do that for the next 12 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to finish off with our 5 extended single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now for you, you will be 27 for the small size. So that gets our cable set up, and the next row, we're just going to work back post doubles in all of those established stitches. 1 and turned, and now you'll work across 27 extended single crochets. And for me, I've just worked across the 5, and then once you get to the posts, you're going to work a back post. So you're going to yarn over, find the established post that's there, push your hook under it, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so you're doing that, pushing the hook under that established post. Once they're there, it's so much easier. and you're going across 12 and then finishing off with 27 extended single crochet, and I just have 5. Okay, so we're going to start into the braid now, which is really fun to make. So I've just chained 1 and turned, and we're back to our right side. So this is the right side is where we're going to do all the complicated crossing over stitches. Whenever we're on the wrong side, we're just going to work back post double crochets, and that just keeps it simple. So you're going to work across and extended. Okay, so I've chained 1 and turned, so work over extended single crochets. So you'll be working over 27 stitches, and I'm just getting over here my 5. Okay, so now what we're going to do is a treble, and we're going to yarn over twice to do a front post treble. We're going to skip the first 4 posts, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to work a treble into the next front post treble into the next 3. So I've worked front post trebles in those next 4, and now I need to go back and work these 4 that we skipped. So we're going to yarn over twice, go back over the top. So we're going in front, and we're going to work a front post treble. Yarn over twice, go into the next stitch, complete the treble. Yarn over twice, go into the next, complete your treble. I lost my loop there. Yarn over twice, and then your last stitch right here. Okay, and then now the final 4 stitches, we're just going to work front post double crochets in them. Now you want to be familiar with these stitches before attempting this pattern, because I do work through them fairly quickly. So there is the first part of the cable. The next time we're on the right side, it changes up again. It's a little more complicated. So this will be the repeat going forward. So this will be the first row of the repeat. Now work across an extended single crochet. So you'll be working across your 27 or however many for your size. Chain 1 and turn. Work across an extended single crochet, so 27 or the number that you're working on. And then when you get to the cabling section, we're just working back post double crochets in every stitch. So you can feel with your fingers, you're working those back posts all the way across. The first 4 are pretty easy because we haven't really twisted them yet. And when you get to the next 4, you can see they're the ones coming over top here. So you'll grab 4 that are over the top. Always count them to make sure you aren't missing out on one. Sometimes they can be smushed. So 4. And then the other ones are kind of down in behind here. So you got to feel down for them. Make sure you find all 4 and work back post doubles in each of them. And that helps to get them all straightened out for our next crossover row. So I'll finish working extended single crochets across and I'll work them back and then meet you up again for the cable. Okay, so now when you're looking at it, this will be pretty flattened out over here, and then you'll notice this is kind of still sort of tucked in behind, and that always reminds me when I'm on this row that I need to work these first 4 just in the front post double crochet. They're kind of almost hidden, a little tucked in, and it just is an easy reminder as to what row you're on. So what we'll do now for this row of the cable is work front post doubles in those first 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the easy part. Now we need to cross these guys over. So we're going to skip the next 4, working front post trebles in the next 4. So skip 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the 5th we're working a front post treble. So yarn over, go under the post, pull up a loop. Did I go over around twice? Yarn over twice, go under, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Doing that for these 4 stitches. So now, instead of going over top to grab these guys, we want the braid look, so we need to go underneath. So I'll yarn over twice for my treble, and then I need to come back here and put my hook under that first one. And I'm just going to push my work down in front here. So this one's a little bit more complicated just because it's a little harder getting in behind. Once you get the hang of it, so yarn over twice. If you need to pull your work forward to see the next one, that's fine, and just push your hook down underneath. Then pull your work forward, or you can just leave all your work forward and you can see those posts there. I'll do that for the next couple. So complete your treble, yarn over twice, so you can push that work in front, and then you can really get a good look at where those stitches are. And one more, and like I say, always keep track, keep count to make sure you're getting 4, because they can certainly get squished and hidden. And then finish working extended single crochet across. Okay, so that is the repeat. So we'll go back across now and work back post double crochets because we'll be on our wrong side. And then when we come back again, we're doing the first row of the cable. We do then a row of back posts, and then we're doing row 3 of the cable, and we're just repeating that over and over and over again. So once you get going at your cable, it gets easier as you go, and this is how it's going to look as you work. So you're just going to continue working that until you have, including your band down here, about 30 inches, unless you would like to alter the length of your dress. I mean, and if you're making it for yourself, as you're making it, you could just hold it up, your front panel up to the front of you, look in the mirror, just so you can hit that correct length. And then what we're going to do, once you finish, so once you get your 30 inches of length, we're going to have a little bit more here up for our shoulder, so it's going to end up being slightly longer than the 30 inches when you're holding it up. Just this little shoulder section. So what you're going to do is you're going to be ending on a wrong side. So you want to end on the wrong side first of all, and then we're going to come over only 21 stitches. So work over an extended single crochet 21 stitches. Okay, and then you're going to work back again. You're going to work back again, and back again. So 4 rows in total at 21 stitches. So it's really simple. You're going to be on this side when you come here, and then to finish off your shoulder, you're just doing 4 rows at 21 stitches. Now what you need to do to complete this side is you're going to join on with another ball of yarn, or once you've fastened off there, you can fasten off leaving, I've left a tail just for sewing. You're going to join in, so you're skipping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, you're skipping 6 stitches. We have 6 here and 6 here and 12, so our neck opening is 24 stitches. 21 and 21 and 24 is 66, making sure my math is right. So we have 6 our 12 stitches of cable and 6. So you're going to join into the 7th stitch. So you'll take your yarn, you'll just join in and chain 1, and then you're going to work across 21 stitches. And again, 4 rows, and then you're going to fasten off, leaving a tail. So that's all we do for this section, and you're going to do the exact same thing on the back. So the back panel is going to look just like this, except it won't have a cable. No cabling on the back, just a cable on the front. So our shoulders will be completed the same way. So we have this neck opening here. It's just a small neck opening. We'll add a turtleneck after. So I've just been working away here on my back panel. So this is sort of how the back panel is looking, just plain. And I'm going to continue working up until I have the 30 inches, and then I'll complete my shoulders. Okay, so now I'm going to be showing you how to do the sleeve. I've pulled back my swatch because this was big enough for a sleeve. And I've made one here. So my cuff for my small is 22 rows. And the length, I'm going to measure the length of the sleeve here for you. So it's about 18 inches. Okay, so now if you need to shorten this up, I suggest you do a little bit different increase pattern, because I've worked mine out that I'm going to increase every 5th row across this 18 inches. So that's going to get me up to, I'm going from 22 stitches up to about 40 stitches. Okay, so and that's going to give me about a 12.5 upper arm circumference. So if you need your sleeve to be shorter, I just measure from my underarm down to about here, and I need about 18 inches. So you measure and see what you need. If you need to go longer, that's really simple. You can just add some rows. But if you need a shorter sleeve length, then I would suggest increasing on every 4th row instead of every 5th, and then your sleeve will just widen quicker, and then you wouldn't go as long. Okay, so going back to before we started the cabling, I have 2 rows of extended single crochet worked already. So I want you to work 2 more. Work 2 more rows of extended single crochet at 22 stitches, because we're not going to increase until the 5th row. So I'm going to work those, and then I'll meet you up. Okay, so I've chained 1 and turned, and now I'm on to my increase row. So to do an increase, we're just going to work 2 extended single crochet in the first stitch, work all the way across, and 2 extended single crochet in the last stitch. Now what I like to do is, because I can easily get distracted as to what row I'm on, I like to just mark my increase row. And then it just helps me to stay on track with those increases as I work. So I'm going to work across that, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so once I get to my final stitch, I'll add 2, chain 1 and turn. And now I want to work 4 rows at 24 stitches, because we've increased now to 24. So I'm going to do 4 rows unless you're doing a more drastic increase pattern, and then do 3 and then an increase on the 4th row. But we're going to increase every 5th row. So this is it. That's all you do until, so we're going from 22 stitches all the way up to 40. And I just want to make sure that I have 18 stitches. So increase up to 40, and then you can keep track to make sure that you have your 18 inches, and then you can just fasten off, leaving a tail for sewing your piece on to your shoulder. So make 2 sleeves, and then when you have all your pieces complete, we'll meet back up and seam the sweater together. Okay, so once you have all of your pieces completed, you're just going to block to measurements, and I'm just showing you here my pieces blocked on some foam mats. I've pinned them, wet my pieces, pin them all to measurements, and then you just allow them to fully dry, and then remove the pins and then seam the pieces together. Okay, so I have my front and back panel right sides facing together, and I've just been seaming the top shoulders. So I just used the tails that were already there, and I'm just going through a stitch on each side. A stitch on the front and a stitch on the back, and you just work that all the way across both sides. Okay, and once you get that finished, then you're just going to weave in your ends, and any other ends. I have one for each side of my shoulder, so I'll weave the other end in that I didn't use. Just want to make sure that you just weave across, hiding that yarn. And you want to make sure you go back in the opposite direction to secure it. So I'm just going to finish cleaning up some of these other ends, and then I'll meet you back up for the sleeve. Okay, so for the sleeve, you want to fold it in half so that you can get the center. Just put your marker there. And we're going to want to put right sides facing. So find the right side of your sleeve. And then you want to make sure that you're getting right the center of the shoulder. So we're just lining up, and then you're going to take your tail that's on your sleeve and use that to now seam across. So we're going through each stitch of the sleeve and just pushing it through the side here of the cardigan or the sweater dress. So I'm going to complete that all the way across. And once you get all the way across, you just want to double check how it looks before you weave your ends. And then you're just going to do the same like I showed you before. You're just weaving through, hiding the tail, and you're going to go one way and then you're going to go back in the opposite direction. And just make sure you don't bunch that when you pull the yarn. And now we're just going to do the same thing to the other side. Attach the other sleeve. And then I'll meet you up once I've completed that. Okay, so it's coming together. I have the sleeves attached. So now what we want to do is put the sweater so all the right sides are facing. It's really easy when we've got a cable. We know that's the right side. So next what we're going to do is seam the sleeves and the sides. So you can start with your sleeve if you want, or the bottom, it's up to you. I'm gonna maybe start at the bottom and work my way up. So you're gonna want a long piece of yarn for this. Out of the way, I'm just gonna weave this end. And then I'll do that back in the opposite direction. You can use clips if you want. The important thing is to make sure that you're seaming your side even. And because it's a longer piece, you want to keep track of that as you go, that you're not getting off track. You want to make sure that you're doing this even the whole way up. So you're going to want to use a nice long piece so that you don't have to join on, at least to get you up to the underarm section, and you can always put on another piece for the sleeve. But if it's long enough, you can just continue right down the sleeve. So you're going to want to begin, pull that through, leave a tail for weaving there, and make a knot. Then all you're going to do, make sure for the band section you're going through each stitch of the band. Will be a bit of a pain at the start when you're working with this long tail, but I'd rather do that than be joining on pieces as I go. So we're just gonna seam all the way up the band and then all the way up the side. So it's easier for me to do this off camera, so I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna sit and seam this up, and then once I get up to the underarm, you then just want to work all the way down the sleeve, joining it together as well, and then do that for both sides. Okay, so I've already been working on the collar here for the dress. So what I did is I came to the back of the dress here and I joined on to the back stitch. So we left a 24-inch stitch opening for the front and back. So I joined into the stitch and worked across 24 stitches. And then you come to the shoulder section and I've worked across 8 stitches across that section, 24 across the front, so I just worked single crochets, and then 8 again up the side. So in total, worked all around, I have 64 stitches. So then what I'm doing is a join as you go band. So I'm just going to show you how I did this. I originally wanted to do a turtleneck, but instead I've just done a smaller collar. Now you could easily turn this into a turtleneck if you prefer, just by doing the collar wider. So I have a 10 stitch, but you could do 30 to 40 to have a nice flip over turtleneck. Already worked this around. I'm just gonna show you what you're gonna do to start it off. I'm just gonna join in here with another piece of yarn, just so you can see. So once you've worked around in your 64 stitches, you just want to slip stitch to join. And then what you'll do is you'll chain out 11. And then work single crochets back along the chain. So you're going to have a total of 10. Okay, so you just work like that, and then what you do is you skip the first stitch and slip stitch into the next 2 stitches along the base. So you can't see that here now, but I would just, the first stitch I'm going to skip, and then you slip stitch into the next 2. So then once you've done that, I'm just going to slip stitch across here just to kind of give you a demonstration. Then you just turn back and work in the back loops only, just like this, working single crochets in the back loop only. So you work all the way across 10 stitches, chain 1 and turn, come back down, and then slip stitch in the next 2 stitches, and you just keep repeating that all the way around. So here I am finishing, so I've gone all the way around, and then what you just want to do is seam it together. So you just take your tail and, like I say, if you want to make it a full turtleneck, you just want to figure on maybe a couple more balls of yarn, at least another ball, and then that would make so what you do is you just seam through each stitch. I would probably go with 40 stitches for a full turtleneck, and you'll need at least another full ball, if not 2, to do that. But this collar is fine as well. And once you have that seam, then you just want to weave it back. To finish it off, you can give it a steam. I like to sometimes just steam my seams just to make sure that they lay flat. And I'm just going to weave in that starting tail as well. And then the dress is finished. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for watching.